Grab your tea, settle into your favorite chair, and let us unravel these dark mysteries together. Word has been heavily circulating that Kirsten is feeling incredibly uncomfortable about returning to Los Angeles to film. This real life hesitation immediately throws the on screen future of Maxie into a terrifying, unpredictable state of limbo. If the actress is truly stepping away for her own well being, the writers have to figure out exactly how to handle her sudden, jarring absence. Will they simply recast the legacy role with a brand new face, hoping we just accept it? Or are they planning a much darker, heavier, and far more tragic storyline to explain her disappearance? Something about this doesn't sit right with me. The writers rarely let a character with such a rich, decades long history just fade away without a massive, earth shattering event. I keep coming back to this idea that Maxie is about to be pushed into a storyline so heavy that it might permanently alter the emotional landscape of the entire town. We all know that she has been through the absolute ringer over the years, but this current situation feels entirely different. This feels like a final, devastating curtain call cleverly disguised as a twisted mystery. What if her exit isn't just a simple, tearful goodbye, but a chilling revelation of what has already been happening to her in secret? Maybe I'm overthinking this, but the puzzle pieces are starting to align in a very disturbing, cohesive way. It seems that the writers might use this sudden real life hurdle to tie up several terrifying loose ends at once. Let us rewind a bit and look closely at the lingering, toxic shadows of the past. We absolutely cannot forget the insidious, cruel actions of Sidwell. It was Sidwell who mercilessly poisoned Maxie, sending her spiraling into a deep, terrifying, medically unexplainable coma. For the longest time, we were all led to believe she was simply lost to the darkness, fighting a silent, lonely battle for her life in a sterile hospital bed. But there is a chance that the narrative we have been fed by the show is entirely, deliberately false. What if Maxie actually woke up from that chemical induced coma months ago? I can't help but feel like her miraculous awakening was deliberately hidden from everyone she fiercely loves. Imagine the sheer, unadulterated terror of that specific moment. Maxie slowly opens her heavy eyes, her mind thick and foggy from the toxic poison Sidwell mercilessly pumped into her fragile veins. She looks up, fighting the blinding light, and sees a face she thought she would never, ever see again in this lifetime. She sees Nathan. For a split second, her shattered heart must have soared into her throat, desperately believing that an impossible miracle had occurred. But Maxie knows the soul of her husband better than anyone else on this entire earth. She knows the genuine warmth in his eyes, the gentle, comforting cadence of his voice, the specific way he holds his shoulders when he looks at her. It seems that within mere moments of waking up, Maxie realized the horrifying, stomach churning truth. The man standing before her, offering a fake, plastic smile, was not her beloved Nathan. It was Cassius, wearing his stolen face like a grotesque mask. Something about this doesn't sit right with me, because Cassius is a master manipulator who thrives on deception. He has spent so much time perfectly crafting this illusion, effortlessly fooling everyone in town, but he could never, ever fool the woman who shared Nathan's bed, his deepest secrets, and his heart. Um, Maxie would have instantly seen right through the sick facade. I keep coming back to this idea that Cassius completely panicked in that hospital room. He had worked entirely too hard to steal his twin brother's life and infiltrate the family. He absolutely could not let Maxie ruin his grand, twisted masterpiece by exposing his true evil identity to the world. So instead of letting her go and fleeing, he made a split second, sinister decision that changed everything. He kidnapped her right out of her vulnerable recovery bed before she could even scream for a nurse. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but it perfectly logically explains why Maxie has been completely off the grid. Cassius has been holding her captive this entire time, locking her away to protect his sickening, fragile secret. This theory opens up a terrifying, expansive new layer to the current, suffocating drama unfolding in the underground dungeon. Right now, we already know that Liesel and Jocelyn are trapped in an absolute nightmare of Cassius's making. Liesel is already physically reeling from the devastating, soul-crushing shock of hearing Cassius confess his true identity right to her face. She is currently drowning in the agonizing grief of losing Nathan all over again, realizing her son is truly gone. Jocelyn, meanwhile, is desperately trying to find a tactical way out, cleverly leaving her ring at the massive estate as a desperate breadcrumb for Carly to follow. But what if these two fierce women are not alone in the suffocating dark? There is a huge chance that deep within the damp bowels of that stone compound, hidden behind a heavy, rusted iron door, lies another devastating secret. I can't help but feel like Jocelyn, with her relentless, stubborn determination, is going to start aggressively snooping around the perimeter of their dungeon. She is absolutely not the type of girl to just sit quietly on the cold floor and wait for a knight in shining armor to rescue her. She will actively look for structural weaknesses in the stone walls, hidden, forgotten passageways, or anything that might lead to sweet freedom. And during this desperate, frantic search in the low light, she might stumble upon a heavily padlocked cell tucked away in a forgotten corner. What if Jocelyn manages to bravely pry that heavy door open, only to find a frail, terrified, deeply traumatized woman huddled in the damp corner? It seems that discovering Maxie in this broken state would be the ultimate, explosive climax to this horrifying storyline. Imagine the sheer, breathtaking emotional weight of that specific scene playing out on our screens. Jocelyn slowly recognizing Maxie in the dim light, realizing with horror that she has been a prisoner in the dark while the rest of the world thought she was safely recovering elsewhere. The psychological implications are absolutely staggering and deeply upsetting, but the true world-shattering heartbreak will inevitably come when Liesel finally sees her. I keep coming back to this idea that Liesel's visceral reaction will shatter our collective hearts into a million tiny pieces. Liesel just found out, in the cruelest way possible, that her precious golden boy Nathan is truly dead, replaced by a sociopathic monster. To then immediately discover that this exact same monster has been sadistically torturing and starving her daughter-in-law, the beloved mother of her grandchild? Something about this doesn't sit right with me unless it directly leads to Liesel completely losing her brilliant mind with a blinding maternal rage. She will undoubtedly unleash a violent, unholy fury upon Cassius that Port Charles has never, ever witnessed before. This horrific dungeon discovery would actually perfectly set up the exact exit that the real-life actress desperately needs right now. If Maxie is found in such a physically broken, mentally traumatized state, she simply cannot just return to her normal, everyday life at Deception. The intense psychological damage of being violently poisoned by Sidwell, waking up to a terrifying fake Nathan, and being locked in a dark, damp dungeon for months would be entirely insurmountable. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but the talented writers could easily use this trauma to send Maxie away. They could write that she urgently needs to be transferred to a highly specialized, intensely private long-term trauma facility far, far away from the painful memories of the city. This would logically give the beloved character the intense medical and psychiatric care she so desperately requires to heal. It would also brilliantly give the actress the graceful, open-ended, and respectful exit she requires without permanently killing off the legacy character. We would all rest easy knowing that Maxie is out there somewhere, safely and slowly putting the shattered pieces of her beautiful mind back together. Meanwhile, the explosive fallout back in Port Charles would be absolutely nuclear. Cassius would be violently pushed into an absolute, inescapable corner, with no more clever lies left to spin to save his own skin. His entire, carefully constructed house of cards would violently collapse the exact second Maxie is brought out into the blinding light of day. I can't help but feel like this is the absolute only way to do proper justice to such a heavy, complicated real-life situation. It deeply honors the rich, emotional history of the characters while still delivering the high-stakes, edge-of-your-seat drama we all crave so much. Will Carly finally arrive at the estate just in time to help Jocelyn and Liesel pull a broken Maxie out of the suffocating darkness? Or will the evil Cassius realize his secret, hidden cell has been breached and take drastic, deadly measures to permanently silence all three of these women? There is a massive chance that the ultimate bloody showdown is going to happen right there in the terrifying shadows of the dungeon. We can only wait, watch the screens closely, and wonder exactly how much more pain these incredible women can possibly endure before they finally break free from this nightmare.